Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude for another comic book review. This time we're diving back into the world of DC Elseworlds, as the line is reborn this week with Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age issue 1 by Andy Diggle and Leandro Fernandez. What a great way to rebirth the Elseworlds imprint with the book that kind of started it all. Gotham by Gaslight was the first official Elseworlds book under that name, so DC using that to bring back the brand and kind of reinvigorate it for a new generation is great, and also continue that story. As the subtitle of the book alludes to, The Kryptonian Age looks to expand Gotham by Gaslight's steampunk world with the inclusion of Superman, or something similar, as the book opens in the early 1860s, some 30 odd years before the events of Gotham by Gaslight, and we meet Jonathan and Martha Kent, two trail riders in Kansas tribe territory, looking for a new home to settle down in after getting away from the city. Their travels become interrupted by the thunderous explosion of a comet impacting nearby. Upon investigating the crashed space rock, they find it a lot more than just a rock, and they aren't the only ones who see the comet, as a tribe of Native Americans have also spotted the eerie green light emanating from the crater and have come to investigate. We've seen Superman's arrival on Earth countless times through media, but I always love it when we get it, and here is no different, and unlike the more traditional versions we've seen, this one is kind of used to ratchet up tensions, since the story cuts 33 years into the future before we even see baby Kal-El, or even if the Kents helped him. They could have been killed by the Native Americans, and the Native Americans could have taken Kal in as one of their own. The Kents could have killed the Native Americans. We don't know what happened. We're just sort of left with this ominous tone that something did happen, and we don't know for the rest of the issue. The book shifts its focus to 1893 Gotham, where we are introduced to this world's Selina Kyle, a woman who is newly widowed as her rich husband has recently died and left his fortune solely to her. The Selina we're introduced to here is very much the Catwoman we know and love. She has a stagecoach driver named Holly Robinson, and before going to attend a gala, they head into the Narrows, where Selina decides to help some of the destitute women, giving them money and pointing them in a direction of a home for the homeless. I do like the look that Selina has here. Like, of course she's going to be dressed in all black and everything, but I like that they've used the whole widow moniker that she often goes by through people and dialogue in this book as sort of like her costume, more or less. She's dressed head to toe in black with like a veil, very kind of creepy, very horror inspired, and very much something you would see, you know, plucked right out of the 1800s, and it fits her so well. And I like that she uses that as kind of the mask, and uses, you know, the mask of this poor sad woman, you know, who knows what she might be going through, but really Selina doesn't seem to really mind that her husband is dead, and is actively using his fortune to help the poor and destitute in the Narrows, and even run her own sort of little gang that's keeping an eye on stuff like crooked cops and other things around the city, most notably other scores they can hit because they're a group of thieves. Eventually Selina heads to a gala at the Gotham Museum, which is hosting something called the Kryptonian Age, a brand new exhibit. It's here that Selina kind of puts on the whole, you know, widow act, and we see her be introduced as Lady Selina Kyle. You know, she doesn't have a husband, and because this is the 1800s, Selina going around unaccompanied by a man is causing quite a stir amongst Gotham's upper class. I really like what Diggle is doing here. He's taking Selina, a character known for upsetting societal norms, and dropping her in a time period where societal norms were so rigid and there's like really stiff class systems. I think that's like a genius play with a character like Selina, and I like seeing her going against the trends here, as she uses the assumptions people have on her as a widow to be taken into a private office for some alone time, and she uses this access to bring in Holly and change into Catwoman, since she's got some robbing to do. The Catwoman of Gotham by Gaslight is pretty simple, yet very obviously inspired by Zorro, as Selina looks basically exactly like the masked hero, even more so than the Batman of this universe, and I can't fault her since it's a great look. While Selina breaks into the museum, Holly poses as Selina at the party, brought into a dinner where Julie Madison, a character who was actually first introduced in the original Gaslight sequel Master of the Future, introduces them to the exhibit. She's here standing in as Bruce was unable to attend because obviously he's up to some Batman shenanigans. We learn that Bruce has generously gifted the museum a series of pieces from an ancient time in the world in hopes that they will look at the various artifacts and explore the past to ensure that they don't retread the same mistakes in the future. Selina meanwhile enters the exhibit and steals a glowing green ring, a ring that suspiciously looks a little bit like a Green Lantern ring. I did notice though, and I don't know whether this is because like it was always drawn sort of far away, so there's only so much detail you can put in like a very small object on the page, but the ring looked very Superman symbol-esque in that it had the same shape as the House of L symbol, yet it had the Green Lantern symbol in the middle. I have no doubt that's probably on purpose, and I'm really excited to see what that means. Does this mean that the Superman on this world is going to be a Green Lantern as well? Because we had a Superman Green Lantern Elseworlds book as well, and it was pretty damn good. So could it be a hint of, I don't know, a crossover or a combination of different Elseworlds ideas forming into one book? I guess only time will tell. Of course, Batman knows that she would be stealing it and follows Catwoman to the docks where she meets with her employers, a gang of men who pay her in diamonds and hint that they are working for someone else. And it is indeed revealed that they are working for someone else as the League of Shadows arrive and their leader, Talia al Ghul, attack the men and kill them. Talia is pretty quick as she figures out that the ring that Selina stole is a fake and is just covered in radium paint, meaning the exhibit was a trap set by the Batman, who makes his presence known finally. I quite like how Batman was deployed here. Like, we're in the back half of this issue and he has only just now properly appeared, and I quite like that because in a world where we got a whole book with him as the main character, I like that the sequel is now focusing on some other new characters and expanding the world out, so it's not just, you know, Batman's Gotham by Gaslight, it's like a whole world. Now obviously Batman is going to be a main character in the book is named after him as well, but bringing him in near the end of the issue gives us ample time with these new characters, and I'm all for that. We already have a great setup for this new Selina Kyle, and just now the introduction of Talia was great, and I like that she is more of a foil for Selina. Now, one of the big things about Elseworlds as well, besides its unique settings, is its unique art, as almost all of the books are drawn by artists you wouldn't normally see draw the particular characters that book was on, or in the original Gotham by Gaslight's case, an artist you wish would draw more Batman, as the original book was drawn by the wonderful Mike Mignola, and this new book is wonderfully drawn by Leandro Fernandez. Leandro's style is a little different to Mike's, but the aesthetic is all still there, especially in Gotham's architecture and all of the detail he manages to capture on the page. There are also these wonderful panels that really stood out to me where both Selina and sometimes Batman later on in the book are seen in just full darkness, and the only thing you really see are like their head or like their eyes. And I like that all he's done is just drawn like a black panel and then just drawn in some eyes, and it's just so effective and it's so simple, and it works so well to show a character sort of emerging from the darkness or slinking back into the shadows of Gotham. Back in the story, Talia reveals that her and the League's plans are to get the fabled ring of Zhongli, and it's the only reason they have come to Gotham. There are some really great little hints at a larger story here, as she tells her men not to let the ring fall into the enemy's hands, as it will then be passed on to their true enemy, and if they get it, they will all die. Being an Elseworlds book, this could literally mean anyone or anything, and I'm excited to see what surprises Diggle is going to pepper throughout the book in the coming issues. If I had to take a guess, I'm willing to bet that it's obviously tied to the Superman stuff we saw at the start, and I think it would be a real twist if at the start of the book, Jonathan and Martha Kent don't find a crashed Kryptonian ship with a baby in it, but they find a crashed ship that was, I don't know, maybe Abin Sur's ship or just a Green Lantern ship, and they then found the ring. Hell, maybe even the ship was, you know, a baby Kal-El ship that also had a Green Lantern ring on it. Who knows? And that's what's really exciting about the Elseworlds books. They can literally go anywhere and do anything, and there's real creative freedom here. Meanwhile, back in the story, Batman fights Talia and her ninjas on top of a moving train, having pursued them through the docks and to a train yard. Batman can barely hold his own against the ninjas, and as the book finishes, he's left bloody, beaten, and at the mercy of Talia al Ghul. If you followed my reviews for the Chips Zdarsky Batman ongoing currently, you will know that I'm a really big fan of a fallible Batman, and here is no different. I love a Batman who gets the shit beaten out of him and can fight, but not 100% well. Makes him feel a bit more real and a bit more human, since after all, that's what Batman is. He's just a guy in a costume who can take a punch. And I think that Diggle understands that really, really well. On top of that, Bruce isn't used to dealing with things like the League of Shadows or like ninjas and stuff like that, people who can match his skill and even surpass it. So I like that they sort of building on what he's already done in the previous Gotham by Gaslight books and sort of ramping up what he's actually fighting against, meaning that he's going to have to get better as well. It's cool seeing these characters who you never really get to see outside of these Elseworlds books actually getting some character development for a change. Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age issue 1 has reinvigorated my love for the Elseworlds brand, having it return with a story chock full of really interesting plots and familiar characters thrown into unfamiliar worlds. Beyond that, the biggest thing that I really like was the lack of Batman, which tells me that Andy Diggle and his team are pretty confident that they can tell a great story without having to overly rely on the Dark Knight for easy points with readers. I'm going to give the Kryptonian Age issue 1 a 9 out of 10.